Hi guys, it's been a while I haven't been uploading, and the reason for that is because I was kind of working on a side project. The project I was working on is basically I decided during holiday to learn C++, and yeah, so I did learn C++. I think I did quite well, but I mean, whenever we learn something, you need to practice it. So to practice that, I decided to create Minecraft in C++. Yeah, Mojang, don't send your advocates. It's just a joke project. Don't take it seriously. Sadly, I don't have records of my first attempt, but basically I did a first attempt. Also, I learned OpenGL in process because otherwise you can't show cubes on the screen, and it went very wrong. Because I was inexperienced with Visual Studio, I literally just corrupted my solution project. I corrupted my project. It wouldn't even compile properly. But no, so I had to rewrite it from scratch. So this is yeah, this is can say a compilation of what I could record, me coding the thing with some subtitles. This is a very rushed video, so expect some new video about more depth of what I've been doing in my experience later, but this is really just a rush video, so to show well, what I've been doing, because maybe people want to know. I don't know. This is just a bit of joke video and rush video. It's not really a yeah. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the 20 minutes video. I'll see you on the screen. So the first thing I did is actually kind of abstract OpenGL, so it's easier to deal with because. To be fair, I've been developing a bit, and I just feel like using raw OpenGL calls would just, yeah, that would slow down the way I just feel like abstracting stuff, because sometimes when you really use too much OpenGL functions, kind of gets confusing, especially when some concept of graphics programming requires some form of object, some sort of collection, like buffers and stuff like that. So I just abstracted OpenGL shaders and all of that stuff, so it will be easier to be using it later. And yep, there it is. I also created a small application window. Alright, so here I'm gonna create the camera class. I was creating camera class, which will again, if you don't know, I'm just copy pasting stuff because I already wrote it, but not in a very good way, and I also broke my ancient code. But here it is. You have me. Also, before you creating camera class, actually creating some proper entity class, sort of stuff, so it will be easier to deal with stuff when I'm gonna actually create multiplayer, for example, or entities later. But right now I'm creating camera. For those who don't know how camera works, basically just transforms applied on the world. So basically when you move your camera, or you move the camera, the opposite transform of your camera transform will be applied to the scene. So here you can actually see me doing a mistake, because I messed up the camera translation, which will mess up everything after, because yeah, coordinates are just messed up. I forgot to put the position as a negative. Yeah, that did break some stuff. That was a mistake of mine. So here to do some tests, I can see that the vertex array is throwing an exception because I didn't create the context before creating the initializing these GL elements, this GL object. So actually I had to heap allocate them, but really I don't think that kind of stuff needs to be heap allocated. It's just some numbers with some methods, so those classes could be stack allocated, to be fair. And there we create the block models and types. So here I just created a sort of block model and kind of stuff. Also, I did kind of create some mesh thing for the chunk. I know I really just trying to draw a block, but it really helps sometimes when you have some kind of abstraction. I'm that kind of guy who kind of abstract everything. I know that's not a very good thing, but yeah. And here you can see me just trying to abstract the chord geometry, like chords and vertex. And sometimes I get on Stack Overflow because, well, that sometimes some stuff needs to be checked. Yep, I think that's it. I'm actually doing a lot of mesh thing instead of blocks. I don't know why I titled that a block type. I guess I didn't look into it. And actually, the reason why I didn't create an array of vertices is because actually I'm using a batch renderer, which means all elements is in the VBO. So when I want to modify, let's say, the texture index, when I want to change the texture index to modify the texture, it would be really hard to me. I need to account the strut, the size, and the offset, which is really not something I want to deal with. Whereas with structs, they're the same as arrays, but also you can just do a for loop and then access the index of each vertices. Also, it makes abstraction easier when you have to vertex attribute pointer. I don't know what's the verb for that. It's just called GL vertex attribute pointer. When you want to bind the layout, when you just want to send the vertex attribute to the shader, it makes it slightly easier. So here you can see me struggling with null pointers, exceptions, and memory corruption. Just kidding, not memory corruption, it's just exceptions, I guess. I just got fucking bited by mosquito. Oh, and here you can see that actually I managed to render some quotes, but not what I wanted, because I actually messed up the indices, which is really bad. Yeah, I messed up the indices. The vertices were fine, but the indices were just not. Yeah, you can see I just fixed it. The indices were just not really good. And then I actually managed to. I actually have a texture bug. We'll see, because I have I didn't uniform the texture array sampler, which is really dumb. Which means the texture sampler is just not activated in one sample of the texture, which is why the block funnel is just black. Even though, yeah, you can see me just like literally opening a bug because I just forgot to sample the texture. But yeah. And then the next day, I did some stuff around. Actually, the block is still red. It's still black. So I was trying to fix a bug. I don't know why it's there though. Like, what the fuck is this? Whoa. Okay, so the bug was actually like. The problem is that when I would minimize the window, the program would just crash immediately. It was pretty bad, and I didn't actually find a fix. I guess it's just a problem with the vectors, some kind of zero divisions, I guess. Yep. So you can see me trying to add some chunk culling, some rudimentary chunk culling. I actually wrote the chunk class from scratch here, like the whole chunk class I just wrote from crash. The other thing I was just like adding stuff from my old code, but here this was a completely new thing I was just writing from scratch. So yeah, some kind of stuff were pretty bad. Actually, the chunk culling system was not working at all, and yeah. But at least I managed to at first draw some blocks. You can see me doing the render function. I just this time. I mean, it's not really true that I just wrote it from scratch. A lot of things I just copy pasted from obiwacs Python code. This is how it is. This is how programming works. Most of the time, just copy someone else's work and modify something. some things. Here I'm actually creating a kind of an, I shouldn't use an ordered map, or maybe I should, but the problem here is that I had some troubles with the standard template libraries because the errors thrown they were really confusing. So yeah, the chunk manager didn't turn it well. So the way I fixed it is I just use, I mean, 1D arrays. Now I'm using 2D arrays because that's better, but I need to find a solution because I need to encounter chunks with negative position. Actually, watch the video on move semantics, so I would like optimize my code when I need to copy it. But at the end of the day, what I decided is just delete the chunk. Delete the chunk, the copy constructor, because I mean, does it even make sense to copy a chunk object? Like, no, just always pass by reference or by pointer. I mean, yeah, I think actually the chunk did work, but not in the way I expected it, because I was kind of dumb the way I did it. I think I used an ordered map, but I tried to do some like bit hacking to concatenate some two integers bitwise, but I will use the wrong operator. I was meant to use the bitwise OR operator, and I used the logic OR operator, which will just check if the thing is null or not. So that's another error. You can, I don't know if you can spot it. I mean, if you spot it, just comment the timestamp around where we can see it. I mean, everything is just fast because that's hours of coding compact in times 12 times the speed. I do some reading, of course, but I was trying to do some FPS. I don't know if we should call it FPS, but trying to do some frame per second stuff. Didn't work that well either, but yeah. So here can see me struggling. Another problem is that I had some issues with the vectors, so I actually tried to make a block pose object, but at the end of the day everything is vector, so I guess I will keep vector to the end because there's no reason I shouldn't use a vector. Here I'm actually kind of polishing the chunk system. You can see again I have a breakpoint in the beginning. The reason for that, I don't really know what's the reason. And here I'm also playing Minecraft at the same time, so not the great. That wasn't the most productive day in terms of coding. I was doing everything at the same time. You can see me just playing Minecraft at the same time, but yeah. And this one is the next day. I don't know if it's the next day or just shortly after, but actually I did manage to make the chunk system work. In like, I mean, I managed to yeah, I just play Minecraft there. Yeah, that transition wasn't smooth at all. I just randomly began to play Minecraft like that. Yeah, that was unsmooth as hell. Actually, I should remove that. Yeah, but here you can see me trying to actually make the chunk system work because it didn't work really well, and I'm also installing an software at the same time. So I don't know if I should edit that part out. I don't think so, because actually this day I actually did quite some useful stuff, because such as the chunk calling, I actually managed to create a kind of base. I did some progress to the chunk calling system, but otherwise it was kind of bad. To be fair, the chunk system overall is really bad. And here I do some additional stuff to make the push block function actually make the blocks translate the blocks, so that sorry, all blocks in one chunk won't be drawn at the same position. That means that's pretty straightforward. And yeah, you can see in the background that the chunk system was working well, but it misses the chunk calling and backface. Actually, backface calling is not that difficult to solve, but yeah, it was missing some stuff. And here you can see me fixing a bug by I just had to replace the noded map by a SC vector, because yeah, you can see that I was doing something wrong with the. You can see that I was using the want operator, which will just check if that's 0, and so instead of concatenating, I would just yeah, that would just not draw half of the chunks. And here I'm playing again Minecraft. Oh my god, why am I always playing Minecraft? What's wrong with me? And yeah, well, this day wasn't the most productive, to be fair, but I think I actually managed to fix that bug. Yep, I think that's the day I've managed to fix the bug. I can't really see because I'm using the preview, but yep. So here I'm actually gonna really create the chunk calling system, and also I did some optimization. Which is, you know, when you want to draw a chord, because you draw triangles, what most people use is index buffer. But the thing is that the way obiwacs was using was, it's not that it's not optimized, but it's not the most optimal way, because what obiwacs does is that he regenerates the indices every time you update the chunk, which is not really that efficient, because I mean, if you think about it, you're just drawing chords, so you're not gonna draw anything else. Or if you want to draw anything else, I mean, I will create another mesh thing and it will have its own handler. But here, I'm drawing chords, and all chords have the same indices at the offset. The only thing that changed is the offset. So what I did is actually created the chunk indices beforehand with the maximum possible index count, and then I will just parse it in the index buffer and not touch it, because I don't need to. The only thing that needs to change is the index count, which is the amount of chords I am going to draw, and the amount of chords I'm going to draw. Well, when I'm just gonna update the chunks, it's gonna regenerate the vertices. I'm just gonna count the chords number and multiply by 6, because that's how index buffer works, and that's it. Yep. So can see me. Also, I'm trying to do some chunk calling, which did not work at all. But I mean, I'm using a really rudimentary ways to do it. But yeah, here I don't know why it didn't work that well. But yeah. And here is a test of chunk reloading, because yeah, I really need to test the chunk speed. I thought I had the impression I really need to to test the chunk reloading speed, because so useful to know how fast is your code. So here I did some inlining, which means I optimized, not really, but I optimized the code. Also, I've used a 2D arrays for chunks, and here you can see me actually doing some other stuff. But I know that I would fix chunk calling, but I didn't show it here. But the way I did is just I made the chunk keep track of the neighbor chunks, and here I just made a rudimentary block breaking and stuff like that to test the chunk speed. I'm really satisfied, to be fair. Yeah, it was really fast.
you.